Hola, bon dia. This podcast, Latin Music Station, is all about Latin music, culture, and people. Let's charge Latin energy and kick off your day with good vibes. Your host, Marika, Japanese Latina who loves Latin dance such as Zouk, bachata, lambada, and
Katsu, a Latin music lover. Vamos!
vamos! I don't know how to say vamos in Portuguese, by the way. Okay, so today we have our special guest, Gui Prada, who is an amazing instructor of Zouk and other Brazilian dance too. Welcome, Gui.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me, and good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's really early
It's
morning.
9 a.m. in time. It's very early.
Thank you so much for coming. So, first of all, I know about you, but most of the people who is listening to this podcast might be the first time hearing your name. So, could you briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. And really quick, the vamos is very similar in Portuguese.
Okay, how do you say it?
Yes. In Spanish, I think it's vamos. And in Portuguese, it's vamos.
Oh,
So
it's
it's a
almost
little
same.
Vamos.
similar, but all the same. But it's vamos.
Vamos.
Ah, like
Yes.
Vamos.
Vamos, vamos.
Okay,
Yes.
it's easy.
It's very easy. It's very easy. So my name is actually Guilherme, but because it's hard for people to pronounce my full name, I just go Gui. And I'm originally from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And in 2017, I left Brazil and eventually started teaching Brazilian Zouk in the United States. So I became an instructor in 2017, and I started dancing, partner dancing in 2004 when I was 14 years old. And then
14?
in 14. I was in my
Amazing.
first year of high school.
Oh.
Yeah, but because I couldn't keep up with the dance because I would study in the evening, like afternoon and evening. I really started training in 2006 when I was
I see.
17. Yeah.
And you were 17.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, like, many people actually from Brazil start dancing from really early age. Like, how do you encounter this opportunity of like dancing, like, you know, pair dance, like Zouk, lambada?
Yeah. So I'm a children from the 90s, right? I'm from 1989. And the 90s was a really rich decade in what comes to dancing on TV. You would see dancing on television very often.
I see.
And in Brazil is very famous forró. I don't know if you guys know forró.
Yeah,
Like a
I've heard
traditional music and dance. Right.
Yeah, forró is super, super powerful in Brazil. And we have forró in... It was very easy to find forró in birthday parties. It was very easy to find forró.
Wow.
In the TV as well. In the radio, we have forró music playing. So in Brazil, we have this very big party when the girls turn 15. When they turn 15 years old, there's a big party. In the US, they call Sweet 16 when they turn 16. And then in Mexico, it's called Quinceañera also.
Yeah, quinceañera. Sí, sí, sí.
Yeah. So in these parties, always forró. Like wedding celebrations, we had forró. Anniversaries, we had forró. So when all my friends were turning 15, I remember I went to all their parties and I did so much forró because it was in all of them. So from a really young age, I saw partner dancing, and I think these days, the more current generations, I don't know how much they're seeing of it, but dancing in general is more present, I would say.
Yeah.
Like
And when I was a little kid, it was when lambada came out. So I remember seeing lambada on TV, lambada on the streets. So there's some lambada when I was, I don't know, 5, 6 years old going on. So it was very present.
I see. And how did you meet Zouk from Ho Ho Ho?
Yes. It was funny because the reason why I wanted to start dancing was because I watched a movie called Shall We Dance?
Oh yeah, Shall We Dance?
Oh, is it the
Yes.
Japanese one?
I didn't see the Japanese one yet, so I just saw
Richard Gere
trailers
one.
of it. I want to watch the Japanese one actually. I know it's a classic, but I watched the US remake.
Yeah. Remember?
And I realized, man, that's what I want to do, and looked up partner dancing. And I didn't know that Brazil had partner dances beyond forró and lambada and other things. So I thought I would learn waltz, foxtrot, quick step, all these things from the movie. And then I get to the studio and there is all these other dances. And then when I really started training in 2006, I joined the school called Jaime Arocha Dance Studio. I don't know if you heard of him yet, but he is a big name in Brazil,
I see.
like a big master teacher. And I saw Zouk for the first time in this school. I remember they asked me I was with my brother there, and they asked us to go watch the Zouk class. And we sat, and that was the first time I saw Zouk in my life. It was in late 2006 or early 2007 was when I saw it, because I didn't know it existed at all.
I see. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So in the dance school, you normally find different kind of Brazilian dance, or is it specific kind of dance? How does it work for the dance school that you mentioned in Brazil?
Used to be that if you wanted to learn the basic partner dances, you would learn at least 4. You would learn bolero, samba de gafieira, soltinho, and forró.
Oh, soltinho is the name of the dance?
Soltinho is the name of a dance, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it's part of technique.
Yeah, soltinho is a basic fundamental pattern in Brazilian Zouk, and it's also the name of a whole dance. It's our interpretation of swing. It's our open dance.
I see.
Yeah. So you learn all of those dances, and if you wanted to learn salsa and Zouk and tango, you would go to specific classes for these other styles. So the basic pool of Brazilian partner dances are forró, samba, bolero, soltinho.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Nowadays, I don't know how it is, because after pandemic, many studios closed down. Yeah. And some are still alive, and some are still teaching all these things. But I've noticed there's more classes for specific styles. So you can go to a class and just learn samba.
I see.
I think bolero they still put together with the other ones, but you can learn samba on its own, forró on its own, Zouk on its own, and so on.
I see. Got it. What is the biggest one in Brazil right now? Samba is the biggest thing.
I think depending on the city, you will find different ones. Maybe in Rio, samba is very big. Yeah, and maybe in São Paulo, Zouk is very big.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but forró is still the supreme dance.
Everyone.
Everyone knows.
I see.
Yeah, and it's growing as well. When I was in Europe, I didn't realize how much forró was popular. In Lisbon, in Portugal, they have on the street.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they have this big avenue in Lisbon, and from time to time they have forró there for free. Just gather forró in the park. There's forró everywhere.
Wow.
I was really surprised by it. And they have schools and systems, and they have their own drama. It's a whole thing.
Wow. Forró is originally from Brazil or from Portugal?
It's
From Brazil.
Brazilian, yeah,
Oh,
from the
Brazilian.
northeast of the country. Yeah.
I see. So they kind of imported. They exported the language and then they imported the dance from Brazil.
Yes, there
Ah,
is like a cultural proximity, with the language
uh-huh.
and yeah, with the sounds, the instrumentation. So I think it's very relatable in a way.
I see,
And the
I see.
fact that there's a lot of Brazilians in Portugal as well. And it's
Gotcha.
funny because my first international trip, my second international trip of my life was when I went to Europe, 2015. At that time, I was not teaching Zouk. At the time, Zouk was not very present in my life. I was still very strong samba dancer, tango dancer, bolero. So I went to Barcelona and we found a forró party. I remember going to the forró party. I went down the stairs and almost like I went through a portal and I was back in Brazil because it was a forró band singing in Portuguese,
Yeah.
very, very authentic. The way people were dressing, the way people were talking, because forró is also when you go really deep into it, it's sometimes a way of being as well, a way of dressing. So I saw it all there. It was very fascinating going through this portal in Spain and feel the whole vibe that I would feel if I go to a forró party in Rio, for example, or in São Paulo.
Nice.
Interesting.
Very super
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, one of my friend who speak Portuguese, she's Japanese, but she is actually learning Forró in Tokyo, so maybe I will
wow.
try.
Yes, there is a forró scene in most big cities of the world. As much as there is like a Zouk scene, you also can find a forró scene.
Okay, that's cool. So going back to your background, like you said that you went to US to teach Zouk. Like, how did you do that? Like, why did you decide to move to the US to teach Zouk instead of teaching in Brazil?
Yeah, that's actually interesting because I didn't move to the US to teach dance at first. I used to be a lawyer and I quit my career in 2017. And then I moved, and then I didn't say, I cannot say that I moved to the US. I say first that I went to the US
I
to
see.
spend, my initial plan was to spend 5 months there. I had my ticket booked to go back to Brazil after
see,
5 months in the US. Yeah. Because my father was living there for a little while, so I went there to spend some time with him.
Oh,
And my
okay.
plan was to do master's degree in
Okay.
Portugal.
In Portugal.
Yeah, because I'm also a Portuguese citizen.
I see.
So studying in Portugal would be cheap for me. Cheap comparing to the US. so
Yeah, for
much.
sure. Yeah.
And while I was in the US, I got to meet the local Zouk people there. And as I met them, I started to be around them, and then I said, look, I have all this free time here. If you need me, I can help. So then I started to be more and more around, more and more present, until eventually, around October, they gave me my first group class. So
Wow.
my first group class ever in my life was in the US in English. And started teaching, and then I asked Ashley Kent, which is the head of District Zouk, which is the Zouk school, the organization that hosts me, if I could offer a workshop about Embrace, which is something that I've been working on for my own dance, my whole dance life. And then she said yes. I did some prototypes of the workshop, and then in November, I had the workshop. And in that workshop, some other people came, and it was one of those things, right place in the right time. It was the right place to be at the right time, where several scenes in the United States were wanting something different from a purely technical approach to dance. And
Yeah.
when I say technical, I mean like more objectively thinking the lines of your legs and where you should step and
Right.
where your torso is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because dancing the embrace, there's a lot of technique involved. It's just a different way to look at it. And then from there, everything started happening. And then when it got to the month that I was supposed to leave, I didn't. So I stayed. And then my visa ended up staying the maximum amount of time I can stay on the visa that I had. Go back to Brazil and then applied for a work visa. Yeah, and then I went back to the US. So that's how it happened. It was not planned. I was not expecting it to happen, but gladly it did. And here we are.
Oh, wow. It's interesting because in the previous interview with Glenn, he told me that he spontaneously just went to Taiwan and then ended up living there for 7 years. So when you actually like step outside of your country to explore something new, like you never know what's gonna happen in your life.
Yeah, we have a lot of spontaneous guys here.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we never know. Yeah.
That's cool. I see. So right now you are based in US, but you're traveling around the world to teach, right?
So last year, we already 2025. Damn.
Yeah.
In,
Time flies.
in 2023, I decided to travel around. Yeah,
I
so
see.
I had this dream of traveling the world. And when I started teaching dance, I was like, oh, maybe I'll be able to do that now. So I started saving money. And then in 2022, I saved enough. And in 23, I did a trip. So that's when I went to Japan for the first time. That's when I went all places for the first time. So travel around, saw a bunch of things. That messed up with my head so much. I was so certain that I was going to stay in the West for a very long time. And then after traveling the world, after seeing Taiwan, Japan, I'm like, maybe not. And then,
you said
yes.
Yeah.
And then last year, I did a little bit of traveling. So I started doing the residencies where I stay a month or so in each scene. And I did that last year. And this year, I'm just doing, and then I went back to the West. So I just did 3 places, Australia, New Zealand, and Taiwan. And went back to the US and then resumed my life there. And this year, I'm just doing Taiwan for 2 months. And in next month, I will be back in the US. And
I see.
resuming things there. So base is the US.
I see. That's cool. So you mentioned about the Dance&Embrace, and that's a topic I kind of wanted to dive in, which is very difficult for me to explain in English. Also, even in Japanese, like concept of embrace is so hard. So I'm kind of like, I was kind of worried to do so, but since you brought it up, I think I'm just gonna try to jump in. But so I danced with Gui for the first time in Taiwan, and I danced with you maybe, I don't know, 2 times in social, and like the connection and the embrace feeling was the feeling that I've never had before dancing Zouk. So I really loved it, and I think this embracing is one of the most important like concept in Zouk, since it's coming from Brazilian culture, but especially in Asia, I think like conveying this importance and connection is very, very difficult, since we don't have that culture, right?
Yeah, we don't hug like.
Yeah, we
all.
don't hug, but we greet each other or something like that. And like whenever I go to social in, like, for example, like Tokyo mainly, or like where I live, we immediately start dancing without feeling connection too much. But I think like connecting in the beginning is really, really important to, like go with the flow and everything. So could you first explain like why you decided to teach the concept
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
embrace, and like how you, developed that, and how you, like how you did everything.
From the start.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
wanna hear your
Yeah.
story.
On the start, okay, do we have 2 hours? That's
No, we only have like 20 minutes left.
Oh no.
Or
Okay.
30 maximum.
We can do it again for the like, next
Okay.
recording.
No, I'm kidding. I will summarize it. It's
Okay.
so back in the day when I was starting to dance, there were a couple things that I realized early on. Thankfully, early on, as a beginner, starting to dance as a beginner, there's a lot of focus on movements. There's a lot of focus on the patterns and learning as many patterns as possible because we think that's the cool thing to do. As a beginner leader, all the insecurities, as we know, are really, there's a lot of insecurities as a beginner leader. And we don't wanna bore our partners to death. Nah, we want to be pleasant and all these things. So I started my journey learning how to dance as mostly leader beginner do, learning patterns. But not learning patterns because I wanted to learn the words of this language, but mostly because that's what I think I should do. And then in 2007, in the school, it starts this big, like, oh my God, this guy is coming back, this guy is coming back. So they started talking about, they were so excited about this very experienced dancer who was coming back to the school after dancing in Argentina for 4 years. And then he comes back to the school and everybody's like so excited about it. So I go watch him dance. I basically starts to go everywhere he's going. And I remember going to a first social to watch him dance. And my beginner mind was like, man, imagine how many moves this guy knows. And then I watch him dancing and he goes to do like 3 hours of basics. He just dances basic stuff. It's just going basic back and forward, side to side. And in all the dances, not only Brazilian Zouk, yeah, there was a social called Onda Zouk back in the day. And this social played mostly Zouk, but there was sometimes they will play other things too. And I remember the followers coming after dancing with him. And they were like so happy and so joyful. And then I would turn to them and say, what happened? He didn't do anything. And then they were like, you don't understand.
I wanna know.
And then I said, but I will understand. So then basically I started doing all his classes and observing his classes and asking him to dance with me as a lead so I could follow him. And then I remember he had this amazing quality of leading me to do things that I didn't learn, but the way that he was aware of my weight transfers were so powerful that he could understand, and I was just doing things. So then I observing him over time, then I started noticing that there is something they embraced, something that he had when he embraced. And from there on, just started sort of studying and then realizing that most of my teachers had that quality. So I just needed I was taking the classes, but I was paying attention to that specific part of the technique. And it's funny because my brother was taking classes with me, same teachers, but he was looking at a different part of the technique. So I just changed focus. And in the dance studio back in the day, the majority of the people dancing were older people. Yeah, like these older ladies, 50 years and all the way to 90 something.
Wow.
Yeah. It was very common for dance class to have like 25 ladies and 4 guys.
Yeah,
So,
that's normal in Asia.
yes, it was very normal in Brazil back in the day. And they needed like people to fill the gap. So that's where I came in, my brother came in. We were both sisters, which is like, we had like scholarship holders. We would not pay to take classes. In return, we needed to take classes with them. Yeah. And we had specific trainings. We have all these things to speed up our learning. So we would dance from like sometimes 4 p.m. all the way to midnight, because we had our trainings, the regular classes, and then things afterwards. And our main instructor, Jaime, used to say, although they are 75 years old or 85 years old, when they dance, I want them to feel 25. So,
Yeah.
you know, so there was a way to do that. And the way to do that was through the embrace, you know, like through the way you lead within the embrace. So you disregard physical limitations because you are working with the weight transfers, you're working with the person in a ways that they can move comfortably around. Still with dynamics, still with speed, still with all these things, but with a lot of adaptation. So we trained a lot the skill of adapting to your partner. And that's a big part of it. So then I started going on a solo investigation of how can I make my dance more and more comfortable. And every time I would dance with these older ladies, I remember that I would embrace them and try to reduce effort as much as I could. So I started in this like self-study investigation of how could I make this happen. And things really clicked for me when I went to Argentina, because I went to Argentina and then I was watching them dance and I saw these older couples dancing. And I danced with them too. And it was so comfortable. It was so easy. And then I realized, man, these bodies that are, you know, seemingly older, that it would say it cannot be this cozy, it cannot be this comfortable. They were super comfortable. More comfortable than the 20-year-olds in Rio, you know? I was holding these ladies and they were so cozy. And then I started to go to Argentina every year and do a process like reverse engineering. I was trying to understand what they were doing with their bodies into my body. So then I started picking up all these things by osmosis, you know? So when I needed to teach it, I needed to learn what I was doing, that I learned as I was training for this specific purpose. So to some, I was very inspired by my teachers at first because they did that as well. They were really good at the basic stuff and they really danced the basic stuff in the social. And then I went on to investigate how could I be cozy, how could I be comfortable as well. And then I found out some key points, some secrets they're not secrets anymore. I just tell people. I found out what it was that I could do, and then I did. Yeah, and then in the US, again, right place, the right time. It was the right time for me to be there because people wanted it.
Yeah.
They just didn't know what it was. And it was funny because when I went to Japan, I had my most interesting experience teaching Embrace. Yeah.
Tell me.
Because, you know, everywhere there's a level of anxiety about it. That people have some concern about it. But in Japan, it was the most.
Yeah.
In the sense that
For sure.
Organizer was really concerned. He was really concerned. So he talked to us during negotiations. And then when we got there, talked to us again. And then he talked to everyone in the workshops before the workshops began, saying that everything was gonna go slow, we're gonna take our time, it's gonna be fine. During the workshops, as we were about to start talking about it, he then talked to them again, and then afterwards as well. And it was really interesting because we do some exercises to get people in touch with their body language. Using body language to say come close or stay far, you know. And then in Japan, it was the only place that the come close didn't work.
Nothing happens. There is a pause.
No, people would get very close. They would get really close, but they would not touch. Like they would not touch torso. And then I remembered I was teaching with a friend with Brenda, and then she was leading the exercise, and she was with her arms open like this and leaning forwards, and you know, really saying, "You can come, you can embrace me." And the person stopped right in front of her. And then I remember Brenda looked at me and looked at me, like, "What do I do now?" And then we needed to, you know, recalculate and see what to do. And it was really interesting because in the party that night, the followers, the way that they were embracing was so nice, so tender, you know, like so present. And I got very confused. And then the next day, I said, "Guys, I'm confused. Explain me something. We have been having all these talks about the embrace, all these concerns, all these things. But in the party yesterday, it was so nice. It was so amazing. You guys were like all there." And then they said something really, really, really interesting too. They said, it's because it was with me, because I'm not from Japan. I'm teaching. So I am, you know, I'm teaching about these things. So there is a permission. But they feel like this, with him, we can do it and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
But with each other, it's way harder, you know? So that was very, very interesting. But still, some of my favorite followers to dance are from Japan. So I think some of these Zoukers there are figuring this out really well. Yeah, so
Very
this was
interesting
my journey to find out about the embrace. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult for us to do it with like between Japanese and Japanese, like they kind of understand that feeling.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I've been watching. I started watching Japanese reality shows, and it's
What is
like
it?
Terrace House.
Terrace House, yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Yeah, they don't hug, right?
Yes, no hugging. Yeah.
Well, but I think it's really interesting that you in the beginning of your dance journey, you decided to focus on that thing, because it's also for me right now, it's like super in the beginning because I haven't danced Zouk for like a year yet, but I had a lot of opportunity to see many different kind of dancers and like styling and everything. And right now I think I really like to kind of more focus on like this embracing, like not super shiny dance, but you still feel really, really nice when you're dancing with somebody. And I think it's really important, so I will try to start to do that as leader at some point too, hopefully. But it's difficult.
Yes, I can understand. The reason why I wanted to start talking about it when I came to the US, when I went to the US, was after watching the local Zouk classes where people were dancing really far away from each other.
Mm.
And then I asked why people are so far away. I didn't have this awareness yet that
Yes.
things are just different. And I was very puzzled, like why people are so far away. And they told me, oh, they are not used to it. There's a cultural thing involved. So then I started studying about touch specifically in the United States, and how it works and everything. So I said, okay, so let me do a workshop to work on this. And in the workshop, basically, I made things as much objective as possible. So like, because for some people's mindsets, subjectiveness is hard at first.
Yeah.
So we make things more objective, like this is where your hand goes, this is what your arms do, how much pressure you put, all these things, to then hopefully in the future develop the subjective part of it, which is the tenderness, the care, the respect, all of that stuff, which was my journey. My journey was through the physical aspects of connection. I found the metaphysical aspects of connection. And some people work the other way around. They work the metaphysical aspect to understand the physical. That's what I did. I was wanting to understand how it is what can I do to become comfortable? And therefore, in my search to become comfortable, I understood things. I needed a specific mindset to do that. So for a long time, my mindset was not allowing me to be comfortable. So when I changed the mindset, then it happened a lot easier. And that's the thing I tell several people. I say after a certain point when you're dancing, the technique, you can keep learning technique, but it's not going to change anything. Unless you look into the mindset, what is the approach that you're having in the dance for the specific goal that you are trying to achieve. So for the specific goal of comfort, I can teach you all the technique, I can teach you everything, but if your mindset doesn't change, you will be just following a structuring like a manual. You're following you're following instructions on a guide, but still mechanically.
Yeah.
That's the thing that sometimes happens.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening maybe these days. Like especially, like I'm not being racist or anything, but like typically Japanese people are really good at following like instructions, studying it carefully, learning about techniques. But the point that you mentioned right now is hard, but I think we need to figure out together.
Mindset part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sometimes the hardest part, because again it's subjective, and it's you with yourself sort of figure this out. For me, the mindset change came when I realized, or when I became more aware of my experience social dancing. Because I remember I was going out to social dancing with a lot of people, but leaving the social frustrated. Like I danced a lot, but I'm still frustrated. Why am I still frustrated? And then I started realizing that I was frustrated because I was going out to dance to have a very specific experience. And to have that specific experience, I could only have it with people that were as experienced as I was, or more experienced than I was. So only dancing with certain followers, I would have the experience that I was looking for. But then I realized, but I danced the whole night. There might be a way for me to find joy, not only with these dancers that are dancing the same time that I've been doing or more. I want to find joy with everyone. So then the comfort part kicked in even more. I was like, I need to increase adaptation skills in order to find what is it that I can create together with the person who's not as experienced as I am, who doesn't have the perfect, I'm not gonna say like perfect technique in quotes, but anyone, as many people as possible. And then when I switched the key in my head, the study restarted. You know, like, okay, I need to understand comfort now from the perspective of adapting more. And then it rolls. So I call this the pickiness curve. When you start to dance, you're not picky at all, and everybody's amazing. But as you start learning,
totally understand.
and as you start learning, you start to get slightly more picky. No, I only dance with this person, that other person, and then when you get to the peak of your pickiness, only 3 people make you happy. You know, only these 3 people eat well or follow well. And then you can get stuck in there.
Yeah.
You can try to go down.
Yeah, totally understand.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible, because you said that changing your mindset, how to make your partner, whichever level there is, how to feel them comfortable will bring you joy, right? But do you think it's possible for a follower perspective too? Because you know what I mean, like how can follower be always comfortable and having joy with dancing with any kind of level of leads? Is there any secret behind that?
Very good question. So I cannot say for sure. I can only say through observations. There are some followers who are really good at that. Like Jessica Lindham, who is there right now.
Oh yeah, in Japan.
Yeah, she's one of the greatest ones in doing that. And I think I have seen through my life some followers who are really good at it. The thing for me is, I think that for the followers this is harder to do, because when the leader has less experience and are excited or anxious to do things, they can be rough. And there are ways on the technique that the followers can neutralize that roughness or that anxiety through the technique on their bodies, how they allow or how much they allow their joints to be moved. So I know that some of them are really good at it. And there is the mindset, the attitude of thinking that person is in the beginning of the journey, and that person has the potential to become someone who has more awareness in the future. So almost like you are dancing with someone and giving them the benefit of the doubt and understanding where they are in their journey. And I think that's the mindset. That's the mindset, I think, specifically when I talk about more experienced followers with beginner leaders or followers and leaders in general. Because sometimes the leader is not in the beginning of their journey, but they're still being rough. And I think that might be a little different, because it's a matter of overall attitude from that person. But when it talks about beginners, because when I see Jessica dancing with beginners, she's all smiles. She's having the greatest time, because I think she has the mindset of like, no, this person needs encouragement. This person needs some support. This leader is freaking out right now. As much
in his mind.
as much support that I can give, the better will be for them in the future. So there's a lot of that involved. So I think it's possible. It's just different. And one thing that I tell people, I was telling people yesterday, because yesterday we finished a beginner boot camp. I was telling the students that you don't need to be on all the time to dance with everybody all the time. There are some moments in the social that you want to dance with those people that you know, or that you want to dance with people that you know is going to take good care of your body. So mostly managing your energy and being aware of your energy, knowing when you are game to dance with everyone and it's going to be amazing, And when your body starts to get more tired and you want your safe places, you want the people that you know and that you like. And that's fine. You know, not to feel obliged to dance with everyone at all times.
Right.
You know, so, and this is something that I tell myself too. It's very hard to accomplish. Yeah, putting this boundary of saying no certain times, and also being tuned with your body and be respectful to what it needs at each time. So the pickiness curve can happen while in the same social. You know, you get to the social and you're like, woohoo, let's dance with everybody. But then 3 hours later, you're tired, your neck is sore, your back is hurting. Okay, I'm just gonna dance with these 2 people here that I know gonna take good care of my body.
Right.
You know, on both sides. Because, for example, I've been having back pains because of so much dancing, and I realized that dance with some followers, I feel less back pain because there's not so much. I'm not compensating so much, and then my body can rest a little more. You know, so all these things to be aware of as we go.
Yeah, it's important to say no, especially for Japanese. It's really hard to say no, but I think we need to say no sometimes.
Yeah, we should practice that part too.
Yeah, embrace and saying no.
Yes, we
Okay.
were practicing having the followers and the dance, which is like something that I think is nice to practice in Brazilian Zouk too, because normally the leaders and the dance, so we're practicing the followers and in the dance. So
Yeah.
you can add that one.
Both. Okay. Thank you so much, Gui. I think I wanted to dive into like Zoukna's part too, but we didn't have enough time this time, so maybe you can come
We have
back
so many things
for the next
that we
episode.
like to talk with you.
Yeah, but thank
So
you
many
so much
topics.
for your time.
Yeah, it was super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. It was my pleasure.
Muito obrigada.
Muito
De
obrigado.
nada. Nada.
Okay.